Humans, as we all know, are very selfish creatures. In fact, we are so selfish that we don't even realize it. And every action and every thought we have, whether it's unintentional or intentional, has selfish motives behind it. And I'll go over a few examples. So let's just say you're giving a gift to a family member or a partner. You giving them that gift is so they will feel happy. And the reason that is selfish is because the happier they are about receiving that gift, the more they are probably going to appreciate you deep down and know that you're a good person. And you are going to subconsciously or consciously know that decision, and pretty much know the outcome of that in order to manipulate people or just use people. Not everybody will do that, but some people will use gift giving, for that example, as a way to pretty much break down the barrier of, I guess, tension between somebody in order to get more from them for themselves. And while it is a nice thing, it is innately selfish, and we just have to accept that as humans. Another thing is doing a good deed for somebody, like helping out a homeless person or helping an old lady carry groceries to her car. If you do those things, you are a good person, but you do that to feel better about yourself. There is something about the way that you feel about yourself, and because you feel that way, because you feel like you haven't done good in the past, that is why you feel the need to do good now. I respect religion, but something that I see a lot of is people who are older converting to religion to try to make up their, or kind of revert their past actions. They kind of join religion, which is a good thing. I think it's good to, try to be the best person you can be. But the way that we think about it subconsciously as our human instinct is, I need to look better to people now, so I need to join a religion, or I need to do something later on in life that will make up for my mistakes in the past, if you know what I mean. And you see this a lot just through content creators, just pretty much everybody who posts stuff. Like, you'll see people like, hey, I helped this homeless person on the side of the road and gave them a haircut and let them live in my apartment for a month. But they record all of it. So this is all recorded. It's all saved. And then they post it for content. And it's pretty much, they would never do that if they didn't have technology or didn't have this sort of proof or validation that they are being good. People use social media to prove that they are a good individual, when in reality they are not, because I'll get through this in a later video, but pretty much there is a perceived notion of good, which is how everybody, including me, all humans, perceive as being good, or a good individual, or somebody who is kind or nice. And then there is the actual reality of it. And the actual reality of it is that nobody is a good person when you look at it from an outside perspective. Like, if someone was able to observe humans who wasn't human and really just look at all of us, they would realize that we are doing it out of our own good and not out of somebody else's own good, because we are innately benefiting ourselves by benefiting somebody else or doing a good deed. And that is not our fault at all. It's just the way that humans have evolved to be and the way that animals themselves are. But pretty much the smartest people in this world are the people who can fool everybody into creating an image of themselves or a version of themselves in other people's minds that they want to be perceived as. I made a video earlier about talking about how, like, you have this version of yourself that you don't want to be perceived as to everybody else, but you are this version because you want to fit in with everybody else. There are people in this world who have this persona around them that people love, but this persona is only used to gain money or influence. Those are the two main things that everybody desires. Even if you don't think you desire it, deep down, if you had those two things, you would become a worse person than you are currently. And the reason why reality is illusion is because everything in life around you is fake. 99% of all interactions you have on a daily basis, you're not going to be talking to a real person having real thoughts. Let's just say you pull up to a restaurant and then you have somebody talking to you, like a waitress. They're only going to be talking to you like that because they gain something out of it. They're not just being nice. They're being nice in order to get tips. If they weren't being nice to you, it's because maybe somehow they don't get tips. Let's just say there's a reality where no waiters or waitresses got tips. If they didn't get tips, they wouldn't be nice to you. And if they are nice to you, regardless of that, that just means they're trying not to lose their job. And you can't hate somebody for that. And you can't hate the way humans think for being human. And that is something I've kind of had to reflect on when looking at society, becoming more aware of different people's reactions and thoughts to different things. And the reason people are fake is because, or the reason everything is a illusion around us is because people have become a fake version of themselves for so long that they've forgotten who they are behind closed doors. And if you ever, or if anybody has ever met anybody who makes their entire personality based on one thing, I think we've all met somebody like that. But if you know somebody who all they talk about is just this one thing to you, then they have become that singular thing or topic. They have become that one person who, or that one thing that makes them the version of themselves that they are, and they have forgotten about the rest of what makes them them because they have never thought of opening up and talking about that. And then they always brush it away whenever you want to mention something different. And then the next thing, B, is what the world will think of them when people open up. Some people still know who they are, but don't want to open up because the way our brains are coded, we want to be in social settings and in public, and we only want to talk about a select few things because we don't want to be able to stir the air or to make things awkward for everyone else. And this is how small talk got its name, because nobody wants to actually sit down and reflect on themselves before, because most people who do that will be disappointed in themselves, even if they are a good person under society's standards. they will still not feel like they are good enough. And so they kind of mask that by being a good person to other people and doing good deeds. And while that's not a bad thing, it just shows that they're hiding something deeper within them. And so one thing I've noticed is like just going through high school, now just going through college, I'm learning how to create these fake relationships. I'm not trying to say like everybody who I meet, I don't actually want to get to know more. I'm just saying for strictly like getting a job purposes, for getting like an internship, for doing something that's outside of me wanting to have, friends and like a core solid friend group, for me actually wanting to progress myself professionally, you basically are getting taught to learn how to create these fake relationships that eventually will help you gain these connections and will get a job that we don't even want, but we force ourselves into believing we want it because it will have the best benefits for us, and it will keep us trapped in this constantly pretending phase. A lot of people, like myself included, don't know what they want to accomplish when they're older, what kind of job they want to have. And so they will just basically pick the best route for them to become as successful as possible, or to become as successful as they can be. And they basically just stick to that route and try to integrate it into their life by pretending that's kind of who they are now, and pretending that's what they've always kind of wanted to be. And a lot of people will lie to themselves saying like, yeah, I actually really like this job, or I actually really think that, or actually I am like not wasting my time at all for this. And because the way that society is built, they aren't wasting their time. And because they're going to be successful, they're doing the best thing they can to get successful. But what they are doing is they're falling into this endless cycle that I'll talk about in a future video. But pretty much, basically, this cycle is this thing that we are given to us as children, this path to success: school, more school, job, and then family, and then those kids will do the same thing. And I think the reason why everybody is so predictable nowadays is because they're pretending so much. And whenever I see something about somebody on the news, or just like in an article, or just hear something about somebody else that I know, I become less and less surprised because I'm able to kind of predict how they're going to make their actions. And I think a lot of people realize, or some people don't realize, but a lot of people realize deep down that they really don't like their job, and they don't really like, devoting all this time into something that they don't like, but it's the best way to make the money. And so they don't really feel good about themselves, even if they've gotten up there and become successful, because they don't actually like what they're doing. But they're not going to pick something that they actually like what they're doing, because the thing that they're actually going to like is something that's not going to be as successful as something else. Let's just say you want to be a therapist. Well, they only make $70K a year, which is a lot. It's definitely more than the average salary made here in America. But if you had the option to, if you had the ability to go through college to become something that you wouldn't want to be, like, let's just say, like something to do in medicine, like a doctor, that's going to make way more money than a therapist. So why would you waste that opportunity to go for something that you might want to do, but it is less valuable to you, or to the cycle in the future that you actually want to do? And I know I'm branching out onto like a lot of things right now, but I'm going to make full videos on these different topics in the future and just try to look at my mind and just the human mind in general from a more closer and logical perspective. One last thing I want to mention is when I'm going to eventually grow up and all my peers around me and people my age, people are going to start to want to have kids. And a lot of people have kids for the wrong reason. They don't want to have kids with the intention on raising them well. While that is their intention, they want to have kids because deeper down they realize that that is the thing that will make them feel better about their life, is knowing that they had a kid who is successful and knows where they want to go in life, because they weren't as happy with the outcome of their own life regardless of their success. That's why parents are so hard on their kids, because they want their kids to be better than them, and they want their kids to be able to live happier and quote unquote be more successful than them, when in reality a lot of people just think, I'm just gonna have kids because it's that time in my life now. But basically the main point I'm trying to make before I wrap this video up, this is a longer video, but we pretend to be this version of ourselves, and we aren't actually that version, and we train our brains to believe certain things about how the world works or how society works. And if anybody tries to counter that, we just don't want to listen to it. And we become what we are trying to present. And when you put on a mask for so long, you eventually are going to forget to take the mask off and learn to really see things more clearly for how they are. I'm not saying this should make you upset in any way. I'm just trying to look at things objectively and look at reality for what it is. Thank you for watching.